If you enjoy the stories I share, I'd be truly grateful if you subscribed. Your support inspires me to keep telling these personal, honest stories. Now, let me take you into today's story. It's hard to admit just how close I came to losing everything. Not over some huge betrayal, but over one single lie. It wasn't explosive. It wasn't dramatic, but it hit deep. I walked away from a man who genuinely loved me, not because of something he did, but because of something I believed, something that wasn't even true. His name was Mark. We met in the most unexpected place, a late-night book club. He wasn't loud or overly charming, just calm, steady, and kind, the type of presence that made you feel anchored even in the middle of chaos. I was drawn to him instantly. We clicked, and soon we were living together. Everything felt right, like we were building something strong and lasting. But over time, subtle changes crept in. Mark started texting less. He came home later, more distracted. There were no big red flags, just a quiet shift that stirred something uneasy in me. I told myself it was just work pressure. I tried to stay calm. But the seed of doubt had already been planted, and it kept growing. Then one night my phone buzzed. An unknown number. I opened the message, and there was a photo of Mark smiling beside another woman at a party. The caption read, asterisk, "You deserve to know the truth." Asterisk, I felt like the air had been knocked out of me. My stomach dropped. My mind spun. This was the confirmation I'd been dreading. Proof, I thought, that the man I loved had been lying to me. The next day, I confronted him. I showed him the photo, my voice shaking, expecting denial and deflection. But Mark just looked confused, genuinely confused. He swore he didn't know what I was talking about. He said the woman in the photo wasn't anyone special, but I didn't believe him. My mind had already made up a story, and no amount of calm explanations could compete with the storm in my chest. I told him I needed space. I needed time. I moved out, needing distance to process. But the truth is, I didn't give myself peace. I gave myself more fuel. I searched through his phone when he wasn't around. I dug through his social media. I started overanalyzing everything, hunting for clues to prove the story I had already convinced myself was real. And the more I looked, the more I thought I saw. Half-deleted texts, vague responses, gaps in stories. It all felt like unraveling threads I couldn't ignore. Then everything changed. Out of the blue, a friend of ours, Sarah, reached out. She told me the woman in the photo was Mark's sister, his sister. She'd been in town for a family reunion, the same one Mark had invited me to, but I had skipped because of a work shift. Sarah apologized, said she should have told me sooner. I could barely breathe. The guilt hit like a punch to the gut. All that suspicion, all that pain. It had been over something completely innocent. By then, I had already packed my life into boxes. I had already walked away from someone who had done nothing wrong. I called Mark. My voice cracked just saying his name. He didn't yell. He didn't hang up. He just said he hoped I'd come back when I was ready. But I wasn't sure if that chance was still there. Those next few days were the hardest. I kept replaying everything in my head, every cold look I gave him, every accusation I never truly voiced but carried in my silence, every moment where I let fear speak louder than love. And that's when it hit me. The worst betrayal didn't come from him. It came from me, from the doubt I let grow, from the stories I told myself instead of asking for the truth. Eventually, I reached out again. I asked Mark if we could meet. He agreed, but I could feel in his voice he wasn't sure if this was just going to be another goodbye. When we met, there was a pause. That kind of pause filled with both hurt and hope. I told him everything. I apologized. I admitted I should have trusted him. He listened, quietly. He told me he hadn't stopped caring. But that trust, well, it doesn't come back easily. We started slowly, meeting for coffee, talking, laughing again. But the carefree ease we once had, it was gone, replaced by something more delicate, more cautious. I had to show Mark that I was willing to rebuild what I had broken, and he had to be willing to let go of the pain I'd caused. Just when I thought things were getting better, another wave hit. A friend mentioned Mark had been talking to them about us, about how he wasn't sure I was really all in anymore, about how maybe what we had couldn't go back to the way it was. And again, fear crept in. Had I already lost him for good? Did one mistake create a ripple that couldn't be undone? That was the moment I realized doubt doesn't just destroy trust. It rewires everything. The way we love, the way we communicate, the way we see each other. I didn't want to lose Mark twice. So I stopped hoping and I started fighting. Not with words, but with actions. We began therapy. It wasn't easy. Sitting across from someone, stripping your fears bare, is terrifying. But it helped. Mark learned how my past, old betrayals, old wounds, made me overly cautious, even when I didn't mean to be. And I learned how to ask for what I needed, without turning love into suspicion. We began, slowly, to understand each other better. There were still rough days, arguments, silent nights, moments where the old fears tried to sneak back in. But this time, instead of shutting down, I chose to speak up, to tell Mark when I was scared, to remind him that I wanted us, that I was choosing him again and again. He showed up too, with patience, with forgiveness, with love that didn't give up when things got hard. Now we're still together. And while it's not the fairy tale I once imagined, it's something more real, more earned, more honest. We know how fragile trust can be, and we work every day to protect it. Looking back, I regret walking away. I regret letting fear and assumptions turn me against the one person who always had my back. But I'm also grateful, because that mistake taught me how to grow, how to fight for love instead of running from fear. So if you're listening and you're standing at that edge, ready to give up, ready to walk away, ask yourself, is the problem what they did, or is it what you're afraid they might do? Don't let doubt make decisions love hasn't had the chance to answer. Because sometimes the biggest battle isn't between two people. It's inside ourselves. And the lies we believe, they can cost us everything. But with honesty, with work, with love that chooses to stay even when it hurts, there's a way back. Not perfect, but real. And that's worth fighting for.